Magical law has governed the wizarding world for centuries, created by witches and wizards to protect their kind from danger and discovery. Some of the oldest laws, like the Statute of Secrecy, were written after growing fear and violence from muggles. Others came later, shaped by war, power, and politics. They banned certain spells, controlled magical travel, and placed restrictions on young witches and wizards. But from the very beginning, those laws were tested. Some were broken in secret, others in plain sight. And while the Ministry tried to hold the world together, it was the rule breakers who changed everything. The Statute of Secrecy. The International Statute of Secrecy, signed in 1689 and enacted in 1692, is the foundation of magical law around the world. It was created after years of rising tension between magical and non-magical people who had begun to fear witches and wizards and sometimes attacked them out of superstition. To protect the magical community, the statute required all governments to keep magic hidden from muggles. That meant no public spell work, no flying broomsticks in daylight, and no magical creatures wandering into cities. Despite its importance, this law is broken repeatedly in the series. Arthur Weasley's flying Ford Anglia is spotted by muggles in Chamber of Secrets, and full-scale magical battles erupt in public spaces like the Department of Mysteries and Hogwarts. The law is also bent by accidental magic, like when Aunt Marge inflates in Prisoner of Azkaban. In each case, the Ministry steps in to cover up the damage, but the violations show just how fragile the line between secrecy and exposure really is. Underage magic restrictions. Another major law often ignored is the Decree for the Reasonable Restriction of Underage Sorcery. Passed in 1875, this law forbids anyone under the age of 17 from using magic outside of a recognized school like Hogwarts. The rule exists to prevent young witches and wizards from misusing spells before they are fully trained. In theory, the Ministry can detect underage magic through a tracking system known as the Trace, which alerts officials when spells are cast near a minor. But in practice, enforcement is inconsistent. Harry uses magic at age 11 to make glass vanish at the zoo, accidentally inflates Aunt Marge at 13, and casts a full Patronus charm at 15 to protect Dudley from Dementors. The last of these leads to a disciplinary hearing, even though he acted in self-defense. Meanwhile, other characters, like Fred and George, perform magic freely at home without consequences. These contradictions highlight how magical law often depends on context, influence, and the Ministry's shifting priorities. Use of unforgivable curses. Among the most serious crimes in the magical world is the use of unforgivable curses. Outlawed in 1717, the three curses, Cruciatus, Imperius, and Avada Kedavra, are considered so dangerous that even attempting them is punishable by a life sentence in Azkaban. The Cruciatus curse causes unbearable pain, the Imperius curse takes away free will, and the Killing curse brings instant death. Death Eaters like Bellatrix Lestrange and Barty Crouch Jr. use these spells without hesitation, but they are not the only ones. Harry himself uses the Cruciatus and Imperius curses during the war, including to control a goblin at Gringotts and to punish Amicus Carrow at Hogwarts. While some argue his actions were justified, the law makes no exceptions for intention. The use of these spells, even by heroes, shows how war forces difficult choices, where right and wrong are often blurred by survival. Unregistered animagi. The law requires any witch or wizard who can transform into an animal to register as an animagus with the Ministry. This process includes a magical examination and documentation of the form they take. The rule exists to prevent impersonation, smuggling, or spying. Yet several characters break this law without detection. James Potter, Sirius Black, and Peter Pettigrew all learn to become animagi in secret to support their friend Remus Lupin, a werewolf. Their illegal transformations let them roam freely as animals on the Hogwarts grounds. Years later, journalist Rita Skeeter also uses unregistered animagus abilities, transforming into a beetle to eavesdrop on private conversations. These hidden talents go unnoticed by the Ministry for years, proving that even laws designed to ensure transparency can be quietly bypassed when secrecy is the goal. Time Turner regulations. Time travel is one of the most restricted areas of magic, controlled entirely by the Department of Mysteries. Time Turners, the devices that allow backward travel through time, are rarely issued and only under strict conditions. When Hermione Granger is given one to attend multiple classes at once in her third year, it is through special approval. But even this minor use comes with risks, as time travel can unravel events or even place the traveler in danger. The real breach occurs when Harry and Hermione use the Time Turner to save Sirius Black and Buckbeak. Though done with noble intent and ultimately supported by Dumbledore, the act changes history and bypasses legal protocols. It reveals that in moments of urgency, even the strictest rules can be quietly broken for the sake of justice. Misuse of Muggle artifacts. The magical world strictly regulates how magical enchantments can be applied to Muggle objects. This law is enforced by the Misuse of Muggle Artifacts Office, where Arthur Weasley famously works. Despite his role, Arthur himself bends the rules by enchanting everyday items like a teapot that bites, or more seriously, a Ford Anglia that can fly. That particular car not only violates the law, but also ends up crashing into the Whomping Willow and being seen by several Muggles. Other examples include Sirius Black's two-way mirror and various cursed or bewitched objects used throughout the war. The concern behind this law is safety and secrecy. A Muggle stumbling upon a magical object could result in injury, panic, or exposure of the magical world. While not as severe as breaking the Statute of Secrecy itself, the misuse of enchanted Muggle items remains a serious and often overlooked crime in the wizarding legal system. Violation of the Trace. The Trace is an advanced magical tracking system placed on underage witches and wizards. It alerts the Ministry whenever magic is used near them outside of school grounds. However, the system does not detect who performed the magic, only that it happened in their presence. This creates major loopholes. In Order of the Phoenix, Harry is punished for casting a Patronus to defend against Dementors, even though the spell was necessary and used responsibly. In contrast, Dobby's levitation spell in Chamber of Secrets is also blamed on Harry, simply because he was nearby. The Trace is also ineffective in purely magical homes, like the Burrow, where others can cast spells undetected. While designed to promote safety and discipline among young wizards, this law is often inconsistently applied, punishing students for accidental or defensive use while failing to prevent more dangerous acts. It remains one of the most flawed systems in wizarding law enforcement. Unauthorized portkey use. Portkeys are magical objects enchanted to transport individuals instantly to a specific location. Because of their power, portkeys are tightly regulated by the Portkey Office at the Ministry of Magic. Unauthorized creation or use is a serious violation, especially when used to bypass magical security. The most notable case is during the Triwizard Tournament, when Barty Crouch Jr., disguised as Mad-Eye Moody, transforms the Triwizard Cup into an illegal portkey. It transports Harry and Cedric Diggory directly to a graveyard, leading to Cedric's death and the rebirth of Voldemort. The event reveals how easily this law can be twisted for harm. Later, in Deathly Hallows, Dumbledore's allies create portkeys without official approval to move Harry during the Battle of the Seven Potters. Though used for protection, these actions still violate established travel laws. Portkey regulation exists to prevent unauthorized magical transportation, but in times of war, the law often becomes secondary to survival. Illegal apparition. Apparition is a complex and risky form of magical travel that allows witches and wizards to disappear and reappear in another location. It requires ministry approval and a formal license, usually granted after the age of 17, following a practical exam. Despite these rules, apparition is used freely throughout the series, often in ways that violate official law. Underage students side-along apparate with adults, bypassing the licensing system. During the Second Wizarding War, members of the Order of the Phoenix regularly apparate into protected zones, including Hogwarts and the Ministry of Magic, which are normally shielded against such intrusion. Apparating into areas without permission or across international borders is a serious offense, both for security and magical safety. Splinching, leaving part of the body behind, is a known danger. While not the most dramatic law violation, illegal apparition represents how magical transportation can easily cross legal lines, especially in moments of urgency. Prohibited magical creatures. The ownership and handling of magical creatures are governed by strict ministry regulations. Some creatures, like dragons and basilisks, are classified as Class A non-tradable materials, meaning they are banned from private ownership under all circumstances. Despite this, several major characters break these laws. Hagrid keeps a baby dragon, Norbert, at Hogwarts, violating multiple safety and secrecy rules. He also shelters an acromantula, Aragog, deep in the Forbidden Forest. another dangerous creature forbidden by law. But the most extreme case is Tom Riddle, who secretly raises a basilisk in the Chamber of Secrets. This creature is responsible for multiple attacks and one death, operating undetected for decades. The law exists to protect both muggles and magical folk from creatures that cannot be safely controlled. Breaching it not only risks lives, but often signals a deeper disregard for magical ethics and legal boundaries. These examples show how even well-meaning wizards can endanger others by breaking magical creature laws. Breaking into the Department of Mysteries. The Department of Mysteries is one of the most secure and secretive divisions within the Ministry of Magic. It houses powerful magical artifacts and knowledge that are kept away from the general public, even most Ministry employees. Entry without proper clearance is strictly forbidden. In Order of the Phoenix, Harry is lured to the department through a false vision planted by Voldemort. He and 5 other students break in after hours, accessing highly restricted areas, including the Hall of Prophecies. The group is caught in a battle with Death Eaters, which results in multiple injuries and the death of Sirius Black. This break-in not only violates several Ministry security protocols, but also exposes the weaknesses in their magical safeguards. Though the students acted under manipulation and fear, their actions highlight the consequences of bypassing protected government spaces, especially ones that guard the most dangerous magical knowledge in existence: illegal use of Polyjuice Potion. Polyjuice Potion is an advanced and highly regulated magical substance that allows one to take on the appearance of another person. Because of its potential for identity theft and serious security risks, it is classified as a controlled potion under wizarding law. Brewing it requires rare ingredients, months of preparation, and Ministry approval for use. Throughout the series, this potion is used repeatedly without permission. In Chamber of Secrets, Harry, Ron, and Hermione brew it in a Hogwarts bathroom to impersonate Slytherin students. Later, Death Eaters use it to infiltrate the Ministry, and even Harry's allies use it during the Battle of the Seven Potters to disguise themselves. While sometimes used with good intent, each case still breaks legal boundaries. The law exists to prevent impersonation and protect personal identity, but when war and secrecy are involved, even the most dangerous potions become tools of resistance. Breaking into Gringotts Bank. Gringotts is the central financial institution of the wizarding world, guarded by ancient spells, dragons, and some of the tightest security measures ever devised. Any attempt to breach its vaults without authorization is considered a serious magical crime. In Deathly Hallows, Harry, Ron, and Hermione do exactly that. With help from Griphook the Goblin, they break into the Lestrange vault using disguise, deception, and a dragon. While their motive is to recover a Horcrux, the method involves multiple criminal acts: unauthorized entry, impersonation, theft, and the release of a magical creature. The event shakes the wizarding world, showing that not even the most protected places are immune to intrusion. Although their mission is tied to the defeat of Voldemort, the law does not distinguish between noble intent and criminal action when it comes to robbing the most secure bank in Britain. Use of the Imperious Curse. The Imperious Curse is one of the 3 unforgivable curses, outlawed because it removes a person's free will. Once cast, the victim becomes completely controlled by the spellcaster, often forced to commit acts against their will. The curse is used by Death Eaters to control Ministry officials, shopkeepers, and even innocent muggles. In Deathly Hallows, Harry uses the Imperious Curse himself, first on a goblin named Travers to gain access to Bellatrix's vault, and later on other individuals during their escape. Though his intent is to stop Voldemort and save lives, the act still violates magical law. The Imperious Curse is banned not only for its power, but for its ethical implications. Controlling another person strips them of their agency and identity, making it one of the darkest forms of magic in existence. Its use by anyone, even in wartime, blurs the line between heroism and moral compromise. Improper use of Confundus Charms. The Confundus Charm is used to confuse or mislead a person, often making them unsure of their surroundings or decisions. While not as violent as other spells, it is still regulated, especially in contexts like competitions, voting, or exams. In Half-Blood Prince, it is revealed that Cormac McLagan tried to confund a fellow Quidditch player during tryouts to improve his chances. Earlier, during the Triwizard Tournament, Barty Crouch Jr., disguised as Moody, uses manipulation to ensure Harry's name enters the Goblet of Fire. While not directly stated, many fans and analysts believe Confundus magic played a role, The spell is subtle but powerful, capable of altering outcomes and tricking others into dangerous situations. Its misuse violates magical integrity, especially when used to manipulate competitions or deceive magical objects. While often overlooked compared to more dramatic curses, the Confundus charm shows how even small magical breaches can have wide-reaching effects. Magical assault and harm. Using magic to cause deliberate harm is a punishable offense under general wizarding law. While minor jinxes may be overlooked in school settings, intentional use of harmful spells outside of defense is treated seriously by magical authorities. Throughout the series, multiple characters engage in magical assaults that, under normal circumstances, would warrant ministry attention. In Half-Blood Prince, Draco Malfoy uses the Sectum Sempra curse, a spell designed to slash and wound against Harry. Earlier, Fred and George Weasley assaulted students with dangerous pranks and hexes, including portable swamps and cursed sweets. The final battles in the series involve numerous offensive spells cast without formal dueling permission. While war may justify certain actions, magical assault remains a legal gray area. The law exists to maintain safety and prevent misuse of power, but it is often suspended or ignored when the threat level rises, creating tension between justice and self-preservation. Use of the Killing Curse. Avada Kedavra is the deadliest spell in the wizarding world. It causes immediate death without pain or injury and cannot be blocked by magical shields. This spell, along with the Cruciatus and Imperius curses, was declared illegal in 1717. Voldemort and his followers used the Killing Curse freely and frequently, targeting both magical and non-magical victims. Cedric Diggory, Frank Bryce, and countless others fall to this curse. But while the Death Eaters are known for abusing it, the curse is not exclusively theirs. In Deathly Hallows, Harry ultimately uses Avada Kedavra against Nagini, Voldemort's final Horcrux, raising questions about its moral boundaries. While killing a creature rather than a human may seem less severe, the use of the curse still represents a significant break from traditional ethical and legal standards. Its presence in the final battle underscores the extremes the characters must reach, even at the cost of breaking the most sacred magical law: breaking educational decrees. During Dolores Umbridge's time at Hogwarts, a series of ministry-backed educational decrees were issued to control and restrict the actions of both students and staff. One of the most significant was Educational Decree No. 24, which banned the formation of student organizations without ministry approval. This law was created specifically to prevent resistance against the regime that had taken hold at Hogwarts. In response, Harry and his classmates formed Dumbledore's Army, a secret group dedicated to learning defensive spells and preparing for real threats. Their actions directly violated the decree. When discovered, the group's existence nearly led to Dumbledore's removal and placed several students under punishment. The law itself was politically motivated and oppressive, but breaking it carried real consequences. The resistance at Hogwarts shows that magical law can be used not just to protect, but also to silence, and that breaking such laws can be an act of courage rather than crime. Magical law was never designed to be perfect. It was written in ink and enforced with wands, shaped by fear, tradition, and the changing tides of magical history. Across the wizarding world, these laws were broken in moments of panic, rebellion, or desperate hope. Some violations came from villains chasing power. Others came from students who simply wanted to do what was right. In many cases, the rules were bent to protect those the law had failed to defend. Whether hiding a dragon, casting a forbidden spell, or forming a secret group to fight back, these choices shaped the path to victory. They tested the limits of loyalty, courage, and control. And while the ministry issued decrees and threats, it was those who broke the rules, carefully or carelessly, who ultimately changed the wizarding world.